In what way are we suffering? What statistic do you feel that women are suffering and men aren't? When I say that I think it's harmful to keep telling men that masculinity is wrong. There's never been a society without strong men. This is sort of, I appreciate the discussion that we're having. You're such a perfect reason for why I could never be a feminist. That's why feminism is having a hard time with a lot of women who are realizing that when they give up everything that they naturally want in life to be a feminist, they end up miserable and alone.
They mocked her. They dismissed her. They tried to label her dangerous, extreme, outdated, but they weren't ready. Because this time, Candace Owens didn't just argue. She annihilated. Modern feminism, she ripped the mask off. Woke narratives, she burned them down. And every single talking point was left in ruins. You're about to witness the interview segments that broke the internet, and the narration that proves Candace Owens didn't just win, she ended the debate.
Today, that archetype of what a man is being taught that there's something wrong with it, that there's something that's implicitly violent about being a man, and that's wrong. And I think the people that are harmed the most by it, by the way, are women. Women are harmed the most. When you break down men and strong fathers, we are the ones that suffer the most.
Candace Owens just flipped the entire feminist script on its head, and the woke mob didn't even see it coming. While the modern narrative demonizes masculinity, branding strong men as threats, Candace pulls the fire alarm. When you destroy men, you don't liberate women. You leave them exposed. She's not here to coddle feelings. She's here to tell the raw truth. A society without strong fathers, protectors, and builders collapses, and the first victims are the very women who were promised empowerment. Feminism sold them independence, but delivered isolation. And Candace, she's not letting them lie about it any longer.
In what way are we suffering? What statistic do you feel that women are suffering and men aren't? Because there might be a meninist. There might need to be a meninism movement.
You have a female prime minister.
Candace doesn't flinch. She's been in these arenas long enough to know that a single woman in power doesn't cancel out the widespread despair in homes across the West. She's not arguing from a podium of privilege. She's standing in defense of the ordinary woman who's been tricked into choosing boardrooms over babies, cubicles over companionship. Candace isn't mocking women. She's rescuing them from a system that never cared if they ended up alone and unfulfilled.
That you've created an entire concept around when men interrupt women, but you literally just interrupted me and you don't identify as yourself as a toxic feminist.
Boom. Hypocrisy exposed in real time. This is what Candace does best. She listens, then dismantles the argument without even breaking a sweat. While the woke left shouts about mansplaining and interruption culture, Candace calmly reveals the truth. They don't want equality, they want control. The moment a woman like Candace breaks the mold, challenges the narrative, and doesn't play the victim, they panic. Why? Because she's living proof that not all women are buying into the feminist victim machine. She's not fragile, she's focused, and that's exactly what they fear.
This is sort of, I appreciate the discussion we're having. You're such a perfect reason for why I could never be a feminist, because everything that I just couldn't. It's like, you don't really know why you're calling it toxic.
Did you catch that meltdown? That's not just someone losing a debate. It's someone losing their grip on a collapsing ideology. Candace didn't need to raise her voice. She let logic speak, and the other side folded. This is what happens when feminism meets facts. When empty talking points meet an immovable wall of common sense. Candace isn't confused. She's crystal clear. Modern feminism is toxic because it tells women to despise everything that makes them powerful. Their femininity, their motherhood, their faith, and their families.
Feminism has made it seem that there's something wrong with being a mother, that there's something wrong with being a wife. And everything that you've just said is that. It's not emotional labor. I want to have children. I want to raise my children. I don't want to be the CEO of a company and not have a husband. And that's not what I aspire to. And that's why feminism is having a hard time with a lot of women who are realizing that when they give up everything that they naturally want in life to be a feminist, they end up miserable and alone.
Candace just nailed what so few dare to say out loud. Feminism didn't empower women. It shamed them. Being a mom, outdated, being a wife, weak, building a home, oppression. That's the poison women have been fed for decades. And the result? Skyrocketing depression, broken homes, and bitter resentment. But Candace, she's reclaiming it all. She's standing tall and saying, There is nothing wrong with being a wife, a mother, a nurturer, a woman in full. And the feminists, they're squirming because they know she's telling the truth. This wasn't a soundbite, this was a revolution in one sentence. Candace Owens just said what millions of women whisper in private. The feminist dream feels more like a nightmare. Climbing the ladder? Great. But climbing alone, without love, without children, without meaning, that's not empowerment. That's emptiness. Candace doesn't shame ambition, she's just reminding us that success without connection is hollow. And now that truth is breaking through, and feminism can't stop it.
When I say that I think it's harmful to keep telling men that masculinity is wrong. Masculinity is a component of being a man. I think a society needs and thrives on strong men. There's never been a society without strong men.
This is Candace at her most fearless. In a world terrified to even utter the word masculine, she's shouting it from the rooftops. Strong men aren't the problem, they're the solution. They build nations, defend families, and provide stability in chaos. Feminism paints masculinity as a threat, but Candace knows better. Without men being men, everything falls apart. And when she says it, she doesn't just defend masculinity, she restores its honor.
When I learned about abortion and at school, I learned about it like it was like deciding whether or not you wanted to wear brown boots or black boots for the day. And that's what's wrong. Our education system is training women to disassociate it as thinking of it as a living human being, as if it's just an option. And I think it's disgusting and that we need to entirely revamp the education system.
Candace isn't playing games. She's lighting matches. While the left trivializes life and sanitizes abortion into a fashion choice, Candace speaks the truth that schools won't touch. This is about life and death. Our culture trains young girls to treat the sacred as disposable, to numb their hearts and call it freedom. But freedom without conscience is destruction. Candace is done pretending. She's not afraid to call it disgusting. And the more they try to silence her, the louder her truth echoes.
So when I went to university, all of the girls that I was friends with were majoring in fashion and textiles and merchandising, and they all went off to intern at Vogue. And pick out Prada bags that maybe Kate Moss would wear on the cover of something. The average pay for that, if you want to be in fashion when you get out of school, is $20,000. Men were majoring in business and engineering and things that when you get out of school, you get paid more. If our interests, if we're going to go in and we're not going to be taking serious majors, and we're shocked when we find out the world doesn't need more people to pick out Prada bags for Kate Moss's shoot. I mean, that's not a gender wage gap. That's an interest gap, right?
Candace just obliterated the gender wage gap myth with one sentence. It's not sexism, it's choice. You pick Prada over programming and then cry inequality? Please. Candace breaks down the farce with cold clarity. When women make unserious choices, they get unserious results. That's not oppression, that's economics. And for feminists, it's a truth too dangerous to admit. Because if women have agency, feminism loses its favorite excuse. This isn't about hating women, it's about saving them. From the lies, from the loneliness, from the social engineering experiment that promised them everything and delivered nothing but burnout and bitterness. You want real empowerment? Start by telling the truth. Strong men are not the enemy. Families are not a prison. And feminism, the modern, hollow, bitter brand of it, is not the only way forward. Because when the dust settles and the hashtags fade, the women who dared to question all of it, they're not just surviving, they're finally free.